It's the 9th of November 1918, and after 4 years of global conflict, Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicates and flees to Holland. That same day, Philipp Scheidemann, a leading member of the biggest German party at the time, the Social Democrats, rushes to an open window of the Reichstag and proclaims to the people that the Kaiser is gone and that there's a new German Republic. The Kaiser's Chancellor, equivalent to a British Prime Minister, Max von Baden, hands over his office to Friedrich Ebert, the leader of the Social Democrats. On the 10th of November, Ebert makes an agreement with General Groener for the army to work with the government to prevent the communists from coming to power, suspending the old Reichstag and naming 6 politicians who would form a temporary council of people's representatives. Finally, on the 11th of November 1918, Ebert's representative signs the armistice. The First World War has officially ended, but Germany is in tatters. Within 2 months of declaring itself a republic, an uprising is already taking place. The Spartakists, a group within the communists, hopes to destroy the Weimar Republic before it even gets off its feet, and so, following protests due to the sacking of the head of police, Emil Eichhorn, the Spartakist League took the opportunity and seized key government buildings, including the telegraph offices, on the 6th of January 1919. After days of strikes and rebellion, the Weimar government were forced to call in the Freikorps, German soldiers who fought in the First World War, who defeated the rebels by the 13th of January 1919. Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, the leaders of the revolt, were killed, their bodies dumped in a Berlin canal. Crisis averted, on the 28th of June 1919, Germany signed the Treaty of Versailles, a diktat that assigned Germany the sole responsibility for starting the war. In addition, Germany lost its colonies, the army and navy were dramatically downsized, Germany lost its own land, and had to pay 136,000 marks, or £6.6 billion, as war reparations. Needless to say, the treaty was unpopular among many Germans. The next year brought a second revolt, the Kapp Putsch. After the government attempted to demobilize 2 Freikorps brigades, one took Berlin, with the cooperation of the Berlin Army District Commander. Wolfgang Kapp formed a government with General Ludendorff, famous for leading Germany during World War I, but within 4 days, a general strike by labour unions and a refusal by civil servants to follow Kapp's orders led to the coup's collapse. For a couple of years, Germany continued to sign peace treaties and pay war reparations, but in December of 1922, Germany finally could not afford to pay the reparations due to its war-devastated economy. In response, France in January of 1923 seized the German industrial area of the Ruhr, confiscating raw materials, manufactured goods, and industrial machinery, but the German workers were outraged, organising a passive resistance campaign. Despite the French bringing in their own workers to restart the Ruhr, as the Ruhr contained 80% of Germany's iron and steel reserves, the months that the resistance continued crippled the German economy. Ebert's solution was to simply print more money, a move that caused the value of the Reichsmark to plummet, and prices to skyrocket. In 1918, £1 of foreign goods was worth 20 marks, but by November of 1923, it was 20 billion. Because of this massive hyperinflation, extremist parties gained strength and support, one of these being the National Socialist Workers' Party, also known as the Nazis. Originally known as the German Workers' Party, the right-wing Nazi Party was formed in 1919 by Anton Drexler, eventually being taken over by 32-year-old Adolf Hitler in 1921. Their plan in 1923 was to take Munich, and with the support of Ludendorff, begin an uprising that would place the Nazis in control of Germany. It began on the night of the 8th of November, when Hitler broke into a Bavarian government meeting in a beer hall in Munich. Gun in hand, Hitler forced them to agree to rebel, letting them return to their homes. The SA took over the army headquarters and the offices of the local newspaper. The next day, on the 9th of November 1923, Hitler and the Nazis went into Munich on what they thought would be a triumphant march to take power. However, a fellow Nazi called in the police and army reinforcements. There was a short scuffle in which the police killed 16 Nazis. Hitler fled, but was arrested 2 days later. Whilst a short-term failure, Hitler used his trial to spread the word of him and the Nazis, but at the time his support was waning. Nobody needed extremists. The economy was fine now that Gustav Stresemann, the new Chancellor, had introduced the Rätemark, and there was peace in the streets. It would be almost a decade later until Hitler would be needed again.